Previously on Balls.
Joe.
How you doing, mate?
Oh, mate, brilliant. You've been a busy man, Joe. I'm watching you absolutely rocket in the rankings all round in this country. A lad from Sheffield comes out here, writes football, gets to know the local football scene like the back of his hand, then gets shoved from the beautiful shadow of Table Mountain into Hillbrow and areas like that, mate. It's been a tough time, but you're doing brilliantly. You went to Cairo. You saw Cairo at its best and its worst. We're going to start off with that, Joe. We'll come on to Bafana's games coming up. Joe, how bad was it in Cairo? Just before kick-off when you were getting into the ground.
It was pretty carnage, to be honest. I've never seen anything like it in my life. I've watched football in a lot of places, around the world, and I've never had to go through that to get into a stadium before. We had to push our. Bear in mind, we had media passes. We had to push our way through the fans. Myself and the other South African journalists that were there.
Yeah.
We had to push our way through the fans to get into the stadium. And then when we did get in, we were greeted by something that I don't think any of us expected. There must have been 15,000 fans there already, and this was about 2.5 hours before kickoff.
Joe, how many people do you think actually got in the ground in the end? It was supposed to be about 30,000, wasn't it? 25,000 tickets sold. How many do you think actually got in that ground? I was looking at 50, I thought.
I think it holds 60, right?
Yeah. Well, officially, yeah.
Yeah, I think there was at least 40 there. At least 40 there.
And what were we told to expect? 30.
I think they were told that they were only actually going to let 10 in at one point.
How did that work?
I think they only sold 25,000 tickets.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I heard. Did you ever actually fear for your well-being at any point? A couple of guys were saying that they did on Twitter.
A little on the way in, but once we were in, it was fine. There was a lot of police there.
Yeah. Sure.
Not that they did anything, but there was a lot of police there, and I suppose. I've done a lot of travelling. I've been to a lot of countries in the world, some of which aren't the safest. But yeah, it wasn't pleasant. It wasn't a particularly nice experience when we were having to shove our way through the fans and the climbing up over the scoreboard, climbing up over the walls, and yeah, it was, like I say, it was just carnage. It was just completely unruly. Didn't seem to be any rules there. Everyone was just doing what they wanted, and it was just a bit all over the place.
Yeah, mate. What I've kind of reading carefully through the Ahly sites, trying to translate some of the stuff that they put out, it seems to me that the Ahly fans, much like Partizan Belgrade fans during the war in Yugoslavia, became almost the force that got rid of Mubarak, the old Egyptian leader, during the Spring Revolution, and that the Ahly ultras, as they call them, are very much anti what's been happening to Morsi, the elected president a year ago. And of course there's that political element where supporting your football team and hoping they win the Champions League melts into this is the way we want our country to go. And I think maybe South Africans don't get a full grip of that sometimes, or English people as well. When we go overseas, we think, oh, we're playing Galatasaray. Actually, Galatasaray are a major political force as well as a football force. Yeah. And I think that's what you walked into, what Orlando Pirates walked into, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Look at what's happened with El Zahir after the game, with the trouble he's got himself in for being a Muslim and being part of the Muslim Brotherhood and that side of things. It's a whole new world. It's a world that I suppose unless we go to these places, we're never going to understand. I'm from England, and we have a lot of problems in England. We have a lot of problems with racial problems. We have a lot of problems with. Well, not so much as we did, but problems with hooliganism and all that side of things. But one thing that we don't have is we don't have political issues with football. It's a completely separate entity to politics. And like I say, I think it's a difficult concept to grasp, really.
It is for us. To me, it makes more sense than the stupid hooliganism that I think you're too young for this, but the hooliganism that I witnessed mid-'80s in England, it was just dying out, really. But in the old days of terracing, when Millwall fans would simply clear the Arsenal end because they enjoyed it, it makes a lot more sense to have a political aspect to your flare throwing and laser pointing. I don't know if you saw, Joe, I did phone Danny, your on Monday after I'd done a TV thing, and I said to him, are we going to do anything about this at last, these green lasers? And he said they will be complaining and sending a letter to CAF and FIFA. What's your take on the green lasers? Did they affect the game at all?
I'm sure they affect the game a little bit. I don't think they're... they're a problem, especially when they're in bulk like that. I mean, they are going to get in the guy's eyes and they are going to get in the way. But the problem is there's very little you can do about it. I mean, these lasers are minute. Like, you could stick them in your pants if you wanted to. It's going to be very difficult to try and police it, to be honest. I mean, yes, they are bad. Like, it's completely unsportsmanlike, and we need to find a way to sort of cut it out if we can. But I can't see how we can.
No.
I mean, the game the other day. I mean, there must have been 50 of them, like all around the stadium. And I mean, I took a photo at one point of a guy using a laser. Like, on the other side of the field, I had a picture of a guy using a laser, and the police were right in front of him. Yeah. So they could quite easily have taken off him, but in order to do that, they've got to have permission from CAF or permission from whoever to do that. I mean, until they give that kind of permission, then nothing's going to happen.
No, it didn't look like it. I just think if I saw someone pointing a laser, because you can't do it without people seeing you. I mean, you have to point the laser at the end of your arm to get it accurate. And I think if I saw someone doing that in a football stadium, I'd be tempted to actually reach out and say to them, "Oh, hold on, mate, that could damage the bloke's eyes. That could actually be construed as a dangerous weapon in this situation." But I suppose you have to be very brave to do that when you're in Cairo.
Yeah, you have to also be of sound mind, which I'm not sure all of those people were.
Talking about sound mind, Fakila and Balula, his comments yesterday to Jerome Falca, the General Secretary of FIFA, and then the back page of the Daily Sun today. I don't know if you guys on Soccer Laduma have done anything on it, but for about a year I've been saying to people, anyone that will listen on Twitter, that we promised to launch a presidential inquiry into match fixing after the FIFA report. Bearing in mind it was a FIFA report, it wasn't a FIFA inquiry, it was a FIFA report on how we actually match fixed, how it was done, how much money was paid to who, which referees were used, all the results. It was all there. We were told that we would have a presidential inquiry. Nothing has been done for a year. And Jerome Falca comes over here and says, well, we'd like something done. We'll go back in charge of the inquiry. And then Fakila and Balula has a right old go at Jerome Falca and says he's treating us like a Banana Republic. I nearly said Bafana Republic. Joe, have you got a take on that? Are Soccer Laduma doing anything on that today?
I will be trying to look into it myself. I mean, the scary thing is, it's going to come a point. The way the government wants to intervene and stuff, I worry that there's going to come a point when Bafana will get banned by FIFA again, because the government is going to step in and try and do their thing. And South Africa can't afford to do that at this point. I mean, Bafana's in enough trouble as it is with all the things that have been going on. And they're right. They need to sort this out. It's the reason Puma pulled out. Well, one of the reasons that Puma pulled out was because they swept this whole thing under the rug. And, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think South Africa's particularly in the wrong with this match-fixing thing. I think they were stupid, but I don't think there was anything sinister. I don't think the guys were match-fixing, so to speak. I think it was more a case of just being naive and not looking into things properly. I think that's the main problem. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if someone somewhere had sort of ulterior motives, but I think for the best part, it was like I say, pure naivety. It's just someone who's just gone with something without actually thinking of the consequences and thinking what's happened. So it's worrying. It's worrying that someone like Fakili and Balula, like as much as, I mean, I actually think he's doing a decent job. Like,
I like him normally, yeah.
He's doing a good job for South African sport, and I mean, fair play to him for that. But we've got to be really, really careful how much we let the politics of this country intervene with the sport, because it's a dangerous, dangerous game to play. Yeah, it does feel like we're playing a dangerous game. But let's look on the more positive side, the footballing side. Joe, are you actually going to Somslolo in Somslolo Stadium? See, I'm saying it. Do you think I'm saying that nicely? Me and Joe struggle with words like that. Mate, are you going to Swaziland? No, I wish I was. Yeah. I'm done for travelling for a little bit after this past weekend. I wasn't going to bugger off again.
Take a weekend.
I'm going to be driving down to Durban now. I'm driving down to Durban for the Chiefs Liverpool game.
Oh, good. So when? I'm in Durban next week. Good.
Oh, well, I'm driving down on Friday. I'm going to drive down on Friday, stay in Harrismith overnight, and then go to the game on Saturday.
Oh, right. So that's not this weekend. It's the next, isn't it?
No, it's this weekend.
This weekend, isn't it? The 17th. Yeah, of course. Okay, mate. Well, I'll also be there. I'll get there a bit later. Are you going to stay a couple of days after?
Possibly. I think it's not worth going down for a day and then coming
Good.
back again. Also,
If
I
you stay a
wanna
couple
go
of days
have a
after,
beer.
give me a call. I'm in Umschlanger, so give us a shout,
Cool.
mate.
Well, I want to go for a beer or two with the Liverpool guys after the game, so that's worth sticking around for.
That's exactly what I plan to do as well. We had Michael Thomas on this show a while ago, and we'll try and get to him. I'll take my iPad down and we'll do a couple of interviews, Joe. Yeah. Listen, so very very different sides being fielded by Gordon Niggerson, the Bafana coach, for the Swaziland game. Of obviously a Chan locally picked side for Swaziland, followed by Spain on Wednesday. The magnificent match at Soccer City. Any particular feelings? Should we have any chance of beating Spain on the Wednesday?
I think in football there's always a chance. I don't think it's a particularly big one, and I think that especially if Spain turn up, if they turn up and actually put on a show, then South Africa could be in a bit of trouble. But it seems to be something with Bafana where they seem to turn up against the bigger teams. They seem to put on a show, and they seem to. I can't really explain it. Like it's like they're a different team sometimes when they play against the bigger sides. Yeah. And I think that could be the case against Spain. They're going to have a point to prove. They're playing against some of their heroes. I mean, I was talking to Ayanda Potosi the other day, and I mean, the kid had pictures of Iniesta and Xavi on his wall growing up. And I mean, when I say growing up, I mean like 3 or 4 years ago.
That's right.
And now he's coming up against players like Iniesta, and I mean, for these guys, it's going to be huge. Like, it's a massive occasion for them, and they're going to want to go out and put in a performance. I personally, I think a draw is probably the best they can hope for. But I mean, like I say, it's football. You never know. If Spain have an off day and Bafana get a bit lucky, then why not?
No, you're right. Listen, I always remember the way that Sia Sangweni, when we went to Brazil, Gordon's opening friendly, lost 1-0 to a late goal. And at the end of the game, Sia Sangweni, this huge lad from northern KwaZulu-Natal, got to the end of the game and pulled a lad called Neymar out of his pocket, I thought. And I'm hoping that we can do that. As opposed to when we played at Mozambique, when we played Nigeria, I felt very strongly that someone like Thabo Ntete was looking at Victor Moses when he came on second half and was going, oh, Victor Moses is a fantastic player. Sia Sangweni didn't do that. Sia Sangweni dealt with Neymar the right way. I thought that Thabo Ntete in that Nigeria game dealt the wrong way with Victor Moses. He had too much respect for him. This is only a friendly, I know. But wouldn't it be nice to see South Africa come away with at least, a respectable result, a good draw against the world champions and twice European champions?
No, definitely. Like I said, I think a draw is probably the best they can hope for, and I think that would be a very respectable result. I mean, to be honest, this Spain team is arguably one of the best teams we'll see in our lifetime. Like, yes, I mean, the football they play is absolutely unbelievable. And I think even with the sort of difficult situation that Bafana's found himself in recent years, I think even a 1-0, 2-0 defeat with a bit of a valiant fight would be a respectable result for Bafana. I mean, obviously we want more than that, and I think they are capable of more than that. But it's a learning experience. This is a case of pitting yourself against the best in the world and seeing how you cope with it. That's the key for this game. I'm sure Gordon wants to get a result, but the result is, I suppose, to some extent, it's secondary.
Have you had any luck getting hold of Gordon today? I'm desperately trying to get hold of him at the moment.
No, I haven't tried to speak to him today.
I suppose he's got Swaziland and he's got to put a whole new side together for Spain. He's going to have his work cut out, isn't he?
Well, I'm sure he is.
And in the middle of it all, Kaiser Chiefs playing Liverpool legends. Absolutely, mate. It'll be very, very interesting. Listen, give me a call on the Sunday. If you're still in Durban, I'll be in Umhlanga, and we'll have a pint. And Joe, well done in Cairo, well done on getting back, mate. I mean, just to finish it off, mate. Do you think Orlando Pirates can go from bottom to top? Do you think that they can do this thing with their 6 games in hand, go to the top of the league?
I think it all depends on how they act. To be honest, if they see this Champions League defeat as a sort of a way to spur them on, and they thought, right, well, we got so close and we failed on that one. Let's really kick on in the league and let's push through now. Then I think they've got the ability to do it. I think they've got the quality on their side to do it. But if somehow they come out of this game in Egypt and think sort of get them down, then it might be a bit of a challenge for them. But I think that, like I say, with the squad they've got, I think that they're more than capable of winning at least sort of 2/3 of the games that they've got left to catch up on.
Yeah, I think I'd like to see that. Otherwise, Roger's going to put himself under pressure if they lose those first couple. I think the first one back is at Who've they got the first league? Because they got the Telkom knockout, haven't they? Supersport
Yeah, they got
United
the
in that
Telkom
semi-final.
first.
And then what they got then? Is it Maritzburg or someone a week after?
Yeah, I can see him winning the Telkom.
Yeah.
I think if they'd won the Champions League, the Telkom would have fallen away. But I think now that they didn't win the Champions League, I think the Telkom could be coming that way.
Well, imagine if they had. They beat the World Club Cup in Morocco, and there'd be another 6 or 7 games behind. Anyway, Joe, listen, thanks for talking to us, mate. I know you've got a lot on your plate. I know there's a lot of things coming up. Hope to see you in Durban sometime over the weekend.
Definitely. Cheers, Neil. I'll speak to you soon, man.
Great stuff, Joe. Thanks again. Soccer Laduma's Joe Crann from Sheffield. Really carving a great niche for himself in South African football. Asks the right questions, does the right things. Great blog from him this week on Soccer Laduma, talking about the problems that they faced in Cairo, where 25,000 tickets were sold. We reckon there was something like 50,000 in the ground, in the press box, on top of the scoreboard, all over the place. And that heartbreaking defeat.
Visual Radio. Weekdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central African Time. Radio like you've never seen it before. Balls.co.za